All right, so today we're diving into the mind of David Goggins.
Oh, yeah. The ultra marathon guy, right?
Yeah, he is, but we're not really focusing on the insane physical feats. This deep dive is more about like the underlying mindset, like how he actually gets himself to do that stuff.
I've heard him called like the human embodiment of willpower or something.
Yeah, exactly. And we're going to be dissecting an interview he did with A.Huberman on the Huberman Lab podcast. It's a great interview.
I've heard good things about that one.
Yeah, it really gets into the nitty-gritty. And one of the things that really surprised me was how much he talks about learning. Like, he was deep into paramedical training at the time.
Oh, wow. So he's not just like naturally good at everything.
No, not at all. In fact, he describes the learning process as like really difficult for him. He talks about having to use handwritten notes and repetition just to grasp the material.
Really?
Yeah. He even says that the process sucks.
That's kind of refreshing to hear from, Mr. 100-mile run.
Right. Like, this is David Goggins admitting that he struggles to learn new things.
So it's not just like this superhuman willpower that gets him through everything.
Well, it is, but it's also about, the willingness to push through those tough spots.
So like keep going even when it's hard.
Exactly. And I think that's something we can all relate to.
Definitely. Like we all face challenges in our lives.
Whether it's like learning a new skill or, starting a new project or whatever.
Totally.
So how do you think someone like Goggins, cultivates that unwavering drive?
Well, that's a good question. And it's interesting because his motivation isn't really coming from the same place as, your typical self-help guru.
What do you mean?
Like he's not chasing external rewards or accolades or anything like that. His motivation is almost entirely about avoiding the pain of going back to his former self.
Interesting. So it's like a fear of backsliding.
Exactly. He calls it being haunted by the stick, not the carrot.
Okay, I like that.
And it's fueled by this constant internal battle he has going on in his head.
Like a negative inner voice or something?
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
His voice that tells him he's a lazy piece of shit.
Wow, he's pretty hard on himself.
Oh yeah, he's constantly fighting against that voice.
It's like he almost has to like outsmart his own brain.
Totally. And there's actually a specific brain region that's related to this.
Oh, really? Which one?
It's called the anterior mid-cingulate cortex.
Yeah.
Or AMCC for short.
The AMCC.
Oh yeah, it's basically the brain's willpower center.
So are you saying that Goggins has like a super-powered AMCC or something?
Well, not exactly, but think of it like a muscle that gets stronger the more you use it.
Okay.
And Goggins, with his years of intense training and self-discipline, may have literally strengthened this part of his brain.
Wow, so it's not just mental toughness, it's like a physical adaptation in his brain.
It seems that way. And it's fascinating how the physical and the mental intertwine here.
Totally. I mean, it really makes you wonder if we can all train our brains for that kind of willpower.
Well, the research suggests that we can to some extent. It's about consistently pushing ourselves beyond our comfort zones.
Okay.
Embracing challenges and developing that mental resilience.
That makes sense. So it's not like a magic bullet. It's about putting in the work.
Yeah, exactly. There are no shortcuts.
All right, so we've got the learning the willpower, but there's another piece of the Goggins puzzle that I'm not so sure about.
What's that?
His approach to relationships.
Ah.
He talks about providing for his family so well that they'll leave him alone to do his work of self-improvement. It's blunt strategic, and I'm not sure what to make of it.
Yeah, I can see how that would be a bit controversial.
It raises questions about the balance between personal life and extreme self-discipline.
For sure. Is it sustainable? Is it even ethical? Those are tough questions.
Yeah, I mean, Goggins' level of dedication is incredible, but it makes you think about the potential cost, not just for him, but for the people around him.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Challenges our conventional ideas about relationships.
And what it means to be a well-rounded individual.
Yeah, it definitely gives you something to think about.
Okay, let's shift gears for a second and talk about something that I think we can all learn from.
Okay, what's that?
Goggins' mastery of internal dialogue. Like, he doesn't just hear that negative voice. He engages in a full-blown conversation with it.
He talks back to it.
Yeah, and what's fascinating is that he's not just reacting to his emotions. He's actively choosing his actions based on this deliberate internal debate.
So he's taking control of the narrative in his head.
Precisely. It's like he's turned self-awareness into a superpower.
I like that.
He even uses this phrase, spring cleaning your mental cupboards, which I love.
Yeah, that's a good one.
He's talking about facing those fears and weaknesses head on.
And using that introspection to fuel his actions.
Right, so it's not about silencing those negative thoughts. It's about becoming aware of them, engaging with them, and ultimately using them to make conscious choices.
I see. So instead of letting those doubts control us, we can challenge them and use them as fuel for growth.
Exactly. It's about taking ownership of your inner world and recognizing that your thoughts don't have to dictate your actions.
You have the power to choose.
Exactly.
That's powerful.
It is, and I think it's something we can all work on.
Yeah, definitely food for thought.
For sure.
So where do we go from here?
Well, I think we've just scratched the surface of Goggins' philosophy.
Yeah, there's a lot more to unpack.
And it all ties back to this central idea of confronting discomfort.
And using it as a catalyst for growth.
Exactly.
I'm intrigued. Let's keep digging.
Sounds good to me. Let's do it.
You know, it's funny, though, because Goggins talks about how even people who seem to have it all, like the money, the success, the relationships, they can still feel like something's missing.
Yeah, he calls it a sense of emptiness.
Right, like they haven't truly found themselves.
And he thinks that's because they're avoiding something.
Exactly. They're not willing to confront those, like, darker aspects of themselves.
The parts they don't want to face.
Yeah, the stuff they try to hide away.
Like they're afraid to look in the mirror, so to speak.
Uh-huh. Basically. He uses this analogy of a box.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
So for a lot of people, their box, their sense of self and what they believe is possible, it's incredibly small.
Limited by, fear and self-doubt.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's by pushing past those fears, challenging those limitations,
Yeah.
that we expand that box.
We unlock our true potential.
Right. And Goggins is all about pushing those boundaries.
He talks about how he used to be obsessed with, emulating other people.
Oh, yeah, trying to become this composite of all these larger-than-life characters.
But he realized that wasn't the answer.
No true strength comes from embracing your own individuality.
Forging your own path.
Exactly.
And for Goggins, that wasn't about getting external validation.
Or praise or anything like that.
It was about proving something to himself.
Silencing those inner voices.
The ones that said he wasn't good enough.
Right. And that's such a powerful message.
It really is.
It's not about seeking approval from others. It's about cultivating that unwavering self-belief.
That inner strength.
That allows you to overcome any obstacle.
And Goggins is adamant that there are no shortcuts to achieving that.
No hacks, no quick fixes.
It's about relentless effort.
Constant introspection.
And embracing discomfort.
He even challenges the conventional notion of balance.
Oh, yeah, how so?
For Goggins, it's more about strategic imbalance.
What does that mean?
He's willing to sacrifice certain aspects of his life.
Like what?
Sleep comfort, even some relationships.
To prioritize his personal growth.
Exactly.
So it's not about finding that perfect work-life balance.
Not for Goggins. It's about being very intentional with where you focus your energy.
And being upfront about that with the people in your life.
Absolutely. He sets clear expectations and boundaries.
He acknowledges that his path isn't for everyone.
And he doesn't expect everyone to understand it.
Which is fair enough, I guess.
Yeah, it's about knowing yourself and what you're willing to prioritize.
And being honest about that with yourself and with others.
Exactly.
It's interesting, though, because while Goggins is all about pushing limits,
right,
he also emphasizes the importance of listening to your body.
Oh, yeah. He talks about structuring his days to include dedicated time for recovery.
So it's not just go, go, go all the time.
No, it's about finding that balance between pushing yourself and allowing yourself to rest.
To rebuild and come back stronger.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And he, even though he's known for these incredible feats of endurance, he also emphasizes the importance of building a solid foundation.
Mastering the basics.
Right, you don't have to start by running 100 miles.
No, you start by showing
day after day, even when you don't feel like it.
Consistency is key.
It really is.
And I think that's a really important point for anyone who might feel overwhelmed by Goggins' intensity.
Yeah, it's not about trying to replicate his exact regimen.
Or pushing yourself to the breaking point.
It's about finding your own level of challenge.
Your own suck, as he calls it.
Yeah, and using that as fuel for growth.
I love that.
So remember, Goggins is a product of years of dedicated effort, facing his inner demons, and choosing to act in spite of them.
He didn't become who he is overnight.
Not at all. He talks about how he used to be plagued by self-doubt and insecurities.
Haunted by the trauma of his childhood.
But instead of letting those experiences define him, he used them as fuel, as motivation, to become the best version of himself.
And that's a powerful message.
It really is. It's about recognizing that you have the power to rewrite your own story.
That you're not defined by your past.
Exactly. You can choose to let your experiences define you, or you can use them as a springboard for growth and transformation.
And that choice, that act of defiance against your own limitations, is at the heart of Goggins' philosophy.
Absolutely. It's about understanding the power of your mind to shape your reality and then choosing to use that power consciously and deliberately.
I mean, like he's saying, life's gonna knock you down. You can stay down or you can get back up and keep fighting.
And Goggins is living proof that you can overcome some pretty tough stuff.
I think what's so powerful about his message is that it's not just theoretical, you know?
It's not just talking the talk.
Right, he's actually lived it.
Exactly. He's speaking from experience.
He's faced some seriously dark challenges.
And come out the other side stronger.
More resilient.
More determined.
And I think that's why he resonates with so many people.
He's not just some guru up on a mountaintop.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, he's down in the trenches with us.
Exactly.
And he's not saying we should, like, deny the pain or pretend it doesn't exist.
No.
He's saying acknowledge it, embrace it.
Use it as fuel.
Find that inner strength to keep going.
Even when you want to give up.
And that's not easy.
No, it's not. But it's possible.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into the mind of David Goggins, I want to leave you with this. What would it look like to spring clean your own mental cupboards?
Ooh, I like that.
What are those limiting beliefs that are holding you back?
And how can you engage in a more deliberate internal dialogue?
One that empowers you to choose your actions.
Instead of just reacting to your emotions.
Right. It's all about recognizing that you have the power to shape your own reality.
To write your own story.
And if you're looking for a roadmap to building that kind of mental toughness, I highly recommend checking out that full Huberman Lab interview with Goggins.
It's a great conversation.
Really challenging and inspiring.
And it'll definitely leave you questioning your own limits.
All right, that's it for our deep dive on David Goggins. Thanks for joining us.
See you next time.